You weren't made to visit God. You were made to live in Him. So how do you actually abide in Jesus every day? Not just on Sundays. Let's talk about what that looks like practically and why it changes everything. Psalm 91 verses 1 to 7 say, "He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. For he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and a buckler. You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the destruction that wastes at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you." God is meant to be our home. We are meant to abide in Him day and night. We aren't meant to just give Him a little bit of our time on Sundays, or to say a quick prayer here and there. We are meant to live in, with, and through Him. We were created in His image and to have a real, deep, and intimate relationship with Him. We are meant to make Him our fortress, our refuge, and our strength. We are meant to lean on Him and to trust Him, not just with the easy things, but with everything. But what does this actually look like? Or what are some ways that you can practically abide in Him? For starters, what has dominion over your mind? What are you constantly giving your focus and your attention to? Because what you constantly think about, what has captivated your mind, will take root in your heart. It will become what you care about, or what your life starts to revolve around. And what has your heart will have you. Your attention, your effort, your focus, and your devotion will go to whatever has captured your heart, be it good or bad. So we have to learn to let Jesus become our focus. We have to learn to let the one who we were made for have our attention in life. And like I said, what fills your mind will fill your heart. So we need to spend time with God. There are many ways you can spend time with God in your life. But the big three, in my opinion, are prayer, worship, and the Bible. It doesn't get much more practical or simple than spending time with Him in these three areas. When we spend time in prayer, we learn to have that working communication with God that any healthy relationship needs. We learn to come to Him in and for everything, be it a problem in our life, something difficult that we are dealing with, or something that we want to celebrate with Jesus in. We can and should be coming to God in prayer in all things. We should be pouring our heart out to Him and letting Him into our lives. There's nothing He doesn't know already, so there's no point in hiding how you really feel about something from Him. He wants you to bring it to Him and to let Him show you how to process it, or show you an aspect or something that you might not have seen in your situation or circumstance. He wants you to learn to come to Him and to confide in Him. Most people have that one person in their lives that they feel like they can go to about anything. That person who would always be ready to sit down with them and to listen to them. That person who would always make time for you no matter the circumstance. And God should be that person. I'm not saying we can't have someone else who we go to when we feel like we need someone to help us work things out or to process with, but Jesus should be the first one we go to, the one who we know we can always count on, the one who will always be ready to listen to us no matter the time of day, the person who would never turn us away or leave us to figure it out on our own. When we spend time with God in the Bible, we learn to hear His voice and how He speaks to us. When we spend time in His Word, we get familiar with the sound of His voice. We learn how to drown out the noise of the world and how to focus in on Him. We learn to see how He is leading us, and we allow Him to teach us. There are countless examples in the Bible of different people through different times throughout history that dealt with all kinds of different problems, situations, and circumstances. We can learn from them. from their lives and from their walks with God. We can learn from their mistakes, and we can learn from their successes. We can see how they partnered with God, how they leaned on Him, and how they lived with Him. We can learn from Jesus and how to grow in our faith, how to become more Christ-like, and we can learn what it looks like to walk out this life with God that He has for us. We get to see and hear from God what it actually means to abide in Him, to live as an open heaven, to walk in His love, and we get to see who He says that we are. We learn to shape our identity not on this world, the things of this world, and not on what other people or even we say about ourselves, but we learn to shape our identity on the one who created us, who He says that we are, and who He has called us to be. We learn how to walk in our God-given identities as sons or daughters of God. We learn how to filter the lies and confusion of this world through the truth of Jesus. We learn to see evil for the darkness that it is, and we learn to see the light. We learn to see the goodness of God throughout the earth, and we learn to see His faithfulness and how He is working all around us. We learn how to have peace in chaos, and how to have a lasting fulfillment and joy living in the one we were made for. When we spend time in worship, we learn to see God for who He is, and we learn to see our situation for what it is. Worship isn't for God, it's for us. We worship so that we can learn to lean on Jesus and to trust in Him, even in the midst of our hardships, and especially when it doesn't make sense. Because our situations will try to tell us that God can't be trusted, that He won't pull through, that He isn't good, and on they will go. But when we get into a place of worship, we learn to see things from heaven's perspective, from God's perspective, and not from the view of our circumstances or of this world. We learn to see the goodness of God working in our lives. We learn to trust in Him because He is the waymaker and the miracle worker. We learn to lean on Him because we know that there's nothing too hard for Him to fix and that there's nothing too small for Him to deal with. We learn to see Him for who He is, that He's in the business of bringing dead things back to life, that He breathes new life into things that have been broken. We see how He has worked in our lives, and we grow our faith in His ability to do it in our lives again. We worship to realign our minds and our hearts, and to connect our hearts to His. We worship because we can see His goodness in our lives and in the lives of those around us. When we make it a habit to spend time with God in His presence and in these areas, we will learn how to lean on Him, how to abide in Him, and we will put ourselves in a position for Jesus to lead us in life and to walk with us in the relationship with Him that we were made to have. We will learn that we have nothing to fear in life, that nothing is going to catch God by surprise or throw Him for a loop. We learn to take comfort in Him and to walk in His peace that's beyond all understanding. We learn to walk in the joy, purpose, and fulfillment that only He can provide. The world may tremble around us and live in fear, but we can stand firm and stand strong on Jesus, because He is our rock, our sword, our shield, and our mighty fortress. He is our home.